Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Healthy Kids Revolution. Today is a great day. We're almost to the end of the summit now, and you've learned a lot of how-tos. You've learned a lot of science. Why is it important that we eat what we eat? And guess what? I know you guys are going, well, wait a minute. We need the person to come in and tell us how to get all this accomplished. Now we understand why it's important, but how do we do that? And so it is my great pleasure to introduce a wonderful lady, Aviva Goldfarb, and she is the author of the 6 o'clock Scramble and also SOS, the 6 o'clock Scramble, I think, what is it, Unscramble? No, to the rescue. To the rescue. So she is going to be our queen of rescue today to help all you moms and dads that are struggling. And it's so cute. I love how you have the 6 o'clock because it could be 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. We scramble at breakfast, lunch, dinner. We scramble all the time. So, Aviva, welcome to the Healthy Kids Revolution.
Thank you so much, Carmen. It's so wonderful to be a part of this. I love just being in a community where everybody is focused on how do we do better by our kids and how do we feed them better and help get them healthier and ourselves in the process too.
You just hit on a perfect point. I love that because in my experience, I've tried to teach moms, and the moms are resistant. And then I found that when I teach the children actually get the parents to change. So you're right. The focus is to bring parents in to think about their children. But luckily, you moms and dads that are on the line today, you're actually going to improve your own health because you love your children probably more than you love yourself, and you'll do anything for your children. So Aviva's going to give us some great tips on how to get dinner time and breakfast time and lots of other times during the day dialed down into a doable manner. So what got you here? Let us know about you and how you got here to create this 6 o'clock Scramble.
All right, great. Well, when I first had kids, which was quite a while ago because they're teenagers now, I found I really wanted to make family dinner a priority. I had grown up in a home where we sat down to a wonderful dinner every night that my mom made from scratch, and it was so delicious, and it was such an important part of my childhood. And my childhood wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but family dinners was where I felt like we were a normal, connected family, and that was a really powerful experience for me, and it was something that I wanted to share with my children, too, and my husband. And when I actually had children and it came time to actually make family dinner, I realized it was so challenging to actually get dinners on the table in a reasonable amount of time and something that was healthy and that everybody would actually eat. And and you've probably been there too, right? It was just so much harder than my mom had made it look. Exactly.
And we're still there.
Exactly, every day. And so that's where I came up with the concept of the 6 o'clock Scramble. So what I did was first I spent a bunch of years writing cookbooks and developing really easy, healthy, family-friendly recipes that could be made in a half an hour or less, not too many ingredients that you could get at a regular grocery store that worked for our busy lives, but were still healthy for our families. And then what I realized was that people needed not only good recipes, but my mom's secret that she had taught me was that you really needed a plan for the week. So what I realized was holding people back was every day at 6 o'clock they were trying to figure out what to make pantries in the refrigerators, and it was such a daunting process, and you'd realize I don't have enough chicken broth for that soup I was hoping to make, or that bag of frozen vegetables is nearly empty. So if people take a step back, and what I've done is create a really easy way for them to do it and plan once a week what they're going to have for dinner and grocery shop once a week, then making dinner can actually be so much less stressful of a process. And actually, once you take out all that stress and all those decisions for people, it actually can become their favorite time of day. At the same time, I learned about all this research that showed that kids who eat dinner more often with their families do better in school. They are healthier physically and emotionally. They're eating much better. They're eating more vegetables. It's funny, there's even a recent study that showed that when families enjoy dinner together, the kids think that their parents are better people. So there's all these really interesting research. But also that they're less likely to get involved with risky behaviors like drugs and alcohol and cigarettes. And so this family dinner is really something that I have made my priority to make it easier for people to come together for dinners together because it has such a huge impact on our children and ourselves. So what I do, just real quickly, what I do with the 6 o'clock Scramble is when people join my website, thescramble.com, I give them a plan for the week of what to make for dinner with all the recipes and the steps that they need to make it super easy, and even a grocery list. And then if they want to, they can customize that menu really easily online, and it'll generate a new grocery list and new side dishes, just trying to make it super easy for people to get dinner on the table so that they can actually do it.
Wow, so it's an interactive process where if you have a dish on there that I don't necessarily think that my kids will eat, I can go and
Absolutely.
opt in a different dish, and it'll drop in the grocery items that I need to get for that dish.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow,
and if you have a larger family or a smaller family, you can change the number of servings. It's all extremely, and I've been doing it for 10 years now, and I've just done everything I can to make it as user-friendly and useful as possible for the thousands of families that use it.
Well, you're going to have a lot of BFFs now. I can just see.
I hope
now.
so.
I was like, I have got to go get Aviva. So, okay, so walk me through a day. If I come in to your world, because what you're saying you do is exactly what I find myself doing every day. I'm a busy mom running a company with 2 children in 2 different sports at least every season, and you're right. I am panicked every morning and every night, and I am kind of a planner, but I'm just not getting this thing planned. I'm not getting the meal stuff planned out properly. So could you run me through a scenario?
What a lot of people, just exactly what you're saying is a lot of people, they're trying to do it all right. They're trying to get their family fed, trying to get to the sports, just trying to do everything. And sometimes by the end of the day, you're so exhausted, and if you don't have a plan, then you end up heating up a frozen pizza, ordering pizza, or going to a drive-through, or, even sometimes if it's a healthier option like Chipotle, it still gets expensive. And
it is.
And, by the time you get it home, it might be cold, and you might be less likely to actually sit down together to enjoy it. But what I found is that once, first of all, I give parents a helping hand by planning it for them so that they don't have to decide every day. When I talk to parents about what they dislike most about making dinner, it's not actually the cooking that they don't like. Do you know what it is?
It's the planning, probably, and all the
right. It's the planning, and it's
shopping.
the daily decisions of what am I going to make, what am I going to serve with it, what am I going to buy at the store, when should I start the dinner, when should I start the side dish, will everybody actually eat it? Once those decisions are taken out of your hands or made by somebody else or made in advance, making dinner can be really simple. I mean, it can be as little as 5 ingredients in 10 or 15 minutes. It's just that thinking and deciding part at the end, in the middle or at the end of a really busy day that is the most daunting part. And so that's been my mission, is to make it so easy for people to plan dinners and to make dinners and to get the dinners on the table that they don't hesitate anymore. And that's what I hear from people all the time. I just heard from a woman last week who said that she used to feel so stressed out at the end of the day, and they were just ordering pizza all the time, and they weren't eating together. And once she started using the 6 o'clock Scramble, she was finally able to sit down with her family almost every night for a healthy dinner, and it even left her time afterwards to sit down and play some games and read with the kids. And she just no longer felt that burden of just the chaos in the evening that so many of us experience and that I used to experience too. And sometimes I still do. Let's be real. It doesn't every day, isn't perfect.
So how about give us an example of what, like maybe one of your favorite breakfast ideas is?
Actually, most of the recipes that I share are dinner recipes.
All dinner, okay.
Yeah, so they're dinner recipes because I find a lot of people just eat the same thing every day for breakfast. But it's dinner where you really try to, and that dinner is also our best opportunity, I think, and maybe other people might feel differently. There are other opportunities too, but to really get vegetables into our family's diet and healthy fruits and grains and healthy food. So I really focus on the dinners, although many of the recipes work for breakfast and lunches as well. And what I just heard a study recently that only a quarter of family dinners include a full serving of vegetables. And what I do with the plans is I make sure that there's lots of healthy fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and that I'm thinking for you about what makes a really healthy diet for your family that is still something that they'll want to eat. And so even that part is something that you don't have to worry about. All you have to do is do your shopping once a week, make the meals, and even a lot of the meals can be made in the morning. When we're talking about breakfast, you're making a healthy breakfast smoothie. Meanwhile, you can be throwing dinner in the slow cooker. And when you come in from work at the end of the day, or you come back from driving, from baseball practice or whatever it might be, dinner is basically done because it's been made in the slow cooker, and all you might have to do is put together a quick salad, or maybe you put some rice in the rice cooker in the morning too.
You're talking to my heart. My kitchen has been re-equipped, and I now have, and you call it a slow cooker, and I'm from the South, so I call it my crock pot. Which is probably the trade name for it, but
it's the brand name, exactly. Yeah,
the brand name, yes. And then the rice steamer. I just got a rice steamer for the first time the other day at Bed Bath & Beyond. It was like $40, and I had a coupon, so then it was $30. And they have them at Costco too. And what is so cool about the rice steamer, if you don't mind me just throwing this in to encourage people to buy one of these, is my kids always love the rice at the Chinese restaurants. And then when Mommy tries to make it at home, it's sticky and gooey and gross and doesn't come out like the beautiful little pieces that come apart at the Chinese restaurant. So these little rice steamer things are fabulous. And like Aviva said, you can just pour the rice in before you leave, set the timer, and this machine actually keeps your rice warm throughout the day. And then you're right, you've got something going in the slow cooker or the crock pot. You come home to a wonderful beef stew, which I did last night. I was sitting at my desk working. I got up to
and meanwhile dinner was cooking.
Dinner was cooking. I threw some stuff in there. Now I know we have parents that work full time. Many of you are working full time, so you do have to do the prep, like Aviva said, in the morning. So how about, I'm still so curious. I'd love to hear an example of what you might suggest we throw together for a great dinner.
So every week I give a variety, but just for an example, one of my favorite meals and my family's favorite meals, do you guys like quesadillas?
Oh, yes.
So we love quesadillas, and one of the great things about quesadillas is you can do so many different things with them. So I recently, and it's going to be in our menu next week, made green machine quesadillas, where they have a lot of greens in them. They have green salsa, green spinach, avocado, and of course some jack cheese to make them all, delicious. And I use whole wheat tortillas, which you can get now, which are so good. They're, I think, even better than the plain old flour tortillas, and then you're getting some of that whole grains in your family. And you've got a dinner that basically takes you 10 or 15 minutes to make, but it's getting in, all your vegetables and your whole grains, and, it's hot and delicious.
Love it. Love it. And that was just a few ingredients right there.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, and I'm always happy to share the recipe with anybody if they want, and I have some recipes on my site for different things. So I'm always experimenting, and then when I make a recipe that I really like this week, we have something called the slow-cooked Panama pork stew with pork and sweet potatoes and other healthy vegetables in there. You can make that, of course, in the slow cooker. And when I make a recipe that I love, then I send it to other tester families to make sure that they and their families love it too before I share it with my with the 6 o'clock Scramble audience, because I want to make sure that the recipes that people make actually work. And then once they're on the site and in the newsletter, people rate them and comment on them, so you can see what people might have done differently or how they like them, so you can make sure it'll really work for your family. And I tend to do a lot of meatless recipes also. Because I think that when you eat meatless, you tend to then focus more on some other healthy proteins like, beans and legumes. And a lot of times people say my kids don't like beans, but I think that when you try some different preparations, and some of which I show you, a lot of which I show you, they're a super healthy food with vitamins and protein and all sorts of minerals. And so, I teach people how to make easy, healthy meatless recipes and fish recipes and meat recipes, and just, sort of take the thinking. So hopefully I'm the trusted person in your kitchen who can say, okay, tonight you're making this, and this is when you need to start it, and this is what you need to buy at the store.
You're like our mom. This is so
exactly.
fantastic.
So it's like a mom whispering in your ear and making your list for you and holding your hand, so it's 1 or 10 less things that you have to worry about.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I have to tell you that, and I hope that a lot of people on the call today, when you explained what you can help us do as parents, I just felt this flood of relief. It was like, really? And when you listed all the decisions that have to be made in order to get a meal on the table, and the stress that we feel from, you know, you're right, we make decisions all day long in our jobs and in our, you know, raising our families. And by the end of the day, it is hard to, like, come up with one more, to have to make one more decision, really.
And then you say, of course, you say to your kids, oh, should I make this or this? And one kid says, oh, I want this. And the other one says, I want this. And you're like, oh, no, now why did I ask? So if all the decisions are made in advance, you don't have to worry about it. And actually, what I want to do is if people want to do this on their own and they don't want to sign up, even though the 6 o'clock Scramble is only a few dollars a month, if they want to do this on their own and they don't want to sign up for a menu planning service like the Scramble, I wanted to give them a few tips of how to get started.
Perfect.
And again, so one of, you know, my passion in life is helping families come together for family dinner because I think, and not every single night, you know, few of us can do that, but at least a few times a week. And in fact, I'm going to tell you more about this, and maybe we can, you know, send something out to people later, but I'm just launching a family dinner challenge where I'm trying to get 10,000 families to commit to eating dinner together at least 3 times a week for 4 weeks, and I'm going to give them everything they need to do it for free. So if people want to check out the familydinnerchallenge.com. And I just want to show people how easy it can be and how important it is to eat dinner together. And, you know, again, and not every family can sit down together every night. And some families, they can only sit down together once a week, maybe Sunday dinner. But maybe they can have breakfast together or there's some other time. But there is a lot of research and anecdotal evidence that's showing that when we eat together and we take a break and we turn off the TV and put away our cell phones and we disconnect from all the technology and we connect with each other, that is a really important time for real human connections to be made, not just the food that we're eating, but also the emotional connections that we make with each other. So what I want to do is just give people a few tips for getting started.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I think is the most important thing that we can do to make this time a little saner is to keep a grocery list in your kitchen that anybody can add to anytime they finish up something that you consider a staple. Like let's say somebody finishes up the peanut butter or the wheat bread or whatever it might be, they immediately write it on the list. And because that way, I really recommend shopping just once a week, planning ahead for a few meals and shopping just once a week. That way when you go to the store to do your weekly shopping, you can get all those basic things that your family needs, and you won't have to stop at the store again in the course of a really busy week. It'll save you time and money that you don't have to, you know, do those emergency trips to the grocery store because you didn't realize that you were out of something that, you know, people in your family eat every day. So just the simple act of keeping a grocery list in the kitchen and even teaching your kids as soon as they're old enough to draw or write, to also put things on there when they want something will really save you a lot of time and energy and effort and money. And then the next step is to really, on the weekend or whenever it makes the most sense for you, for most people it's the weekend, to really plan a few meals in advance. And if you're not doing this at all, if you're just winging it right now, then I say, well, start small. Just plan 2 or 3 meals in advance of things that you think you'll make. Maybe even you'll say, okay, maybe I'll serve this, maybe I'll make this beans and rice, and I'll serve it with steamed broccoli. And I know my family likes these hamburgers. I'll do one night, and I'll serve that with baked sweet potato fries. Get all those things on the list, too, so that those are 3 nights that you won't have to think about what you're making. You already have all the ingredients. You have everything you need, and all you have to do is either put the stuff in the morning or walk in the door at the end of the day, and you don't have to take that 10 or 15 minutes to decide and think about what to make. You already know what you're making. You can dive right in. So that's one of my second tips. And then the other one, I think for my third, I'm not going to overload people with too much information. I think my third most important tip would be to keep the freezer stocked with an extra healthy meal or two. And it can be something that you make. Let's say like you made that beef stew yesterday. If you made a double recipe and you freeze half, you have another whole meal that you don't have to worry about that you can take out in a few weeks. And, that gives yourself a break on one day that you know is going to be super busy. You just take it out of the freezer the night before, and you have dinner already made. And that, again, if you have a few healthy frozen meals and some healthy frozen vegetables and maybe a couple of healthy side dishes, it'll prevent you from having to go out to dinner or go to the drive-thru or just make an unhealthy choice because you feel like you don't have any time. Instead, you've got some really healthy choices right there in your own freezer.
I was just calculating. I'm a numbers person, and I'm calculating the amount of time you were talking about saving because I went back to school to study nutrition, so I'm a board-certified health coach. I should know what to feed my family, right? But I didn't go to chef school, and I'm not fabulous in the kitchen. I grew up on Southern cuisine, and so that's mostly what I know. So I'm having to teach myself as I go along how to cook different things, how to cook Swiss chard. I never had Swiss chard as a child, and so we're just trying to incorporate new things. But I was thinking of the amount of time that you are just taking and saving out of my world, because I know I go by the grocery store at least 5 times a week, at least.
Wow.
I'm not.
Yeah, you could really cut that down to 1 or 2. I know. Well, I hope you're going to try the 6 o'clock scramble. We have a 2-week free trial on the site.
I am.
And what people, it's sort of like anything that you do that's a little bit different. It's always harder the first 2 weeks. So I always tell people, just make a commitment to do it for 2 weeks. And what usually happens is after 2 weeks, I'm getting notes from people left and right that say, oh, my God, my life has changed drastically. I'm no longer worrying every day about what to make for dinner. We're eating healthier. I've lost weight. My kids are eating more vegetables. I didn't even know my kids like roasted Brussels sprouts. So all these things that, we get in our food ruts. Everybody has sort of, a few basic recipes that they make, and you start to make them over and over. But if somebody is giving you healthy, easy, family-tested recipes to try with your family, I mean, not everybody's going to like everything every single time. But oftentimes you can be really surprised by what foods your family will eat and will love that you just never thought to try. And actually, roasted Brussels sprouts is a perfect example. My husband grew up gagging on Brussels sprouts. He thought he hated Brussels sprouts. And so I, made Brussels sprouts, which I had gotten fresh, and I eat seasonally, and my menus are seasonal. And I cut them in half and roasted them with a little olive oil and salt and pepper in the oven until they got just a little crispy on the edges. And my family made them disappear, including my husband, who now says Brussels sprouts are his favorite vegetable.
Wow. Now, you did
so
you,
what'd you say?
With the Brussels sprouts, did you parboil them before you roasted them?
No, you don't have to. No, I try to make everything easier. I always skip the parboiling.
Okay.
Yeah, you just cut them in half if they're big, or leave them whole, toss them with a little bit, like a tablespoon of olive oil and a little kosher salt, lay them on a baking sheet, not a roasting pan, like not a deep pan, but a baking sheet.
Right, like
because
a cookie sheet.
Like a cookie sheet, because that'll help them get more browned and not steam in there. And then just maybe toss them once, put them in at like 400 degrees for 20, 30 minutes until they're nice and starting to get browned on the outside, and they are so delicious. And you can do that basic technique with almost any vegetable, and it makes every vegetable delicious.
Yes, like I started doing that with the little small fingerling potatoes. And
I would
chop up like a shallot or something, and like you said, same thing. The only thing I had to do was chop up the shallots. The fingerling potatoes, there was nothing to do with them. They're so small, you don't have to chop them up. Toss them on the cookie sheet. I did put tin foil on there, so I don't have to as much cleanup for the cookie sheet, but just put tin foil down. I hope you
recycle that tin foil, Carmen.
How do I recycle tin foil?
Yep, you just throw it in the recycling bin.
Oh, yes, that part. I thought you meant like wash it off and use it again.
Oh, I do that too. I'm so crazy. I'm a crazy
Sometimes I
environmentalist.
will. But one thing I wanted to share with everybody that you made me think of was when I just said that I go to the grocery store at least 5 times a week. Well, you're saying to me, Carmen, if you took one of those grocery trips, which takes you 15 to 20 minutes, if you just took one of those and took that 15 to 20 minutes and sat down and made your meal plan for the week, you could eliminate the other 4 trips to the grocery store.
Absolutely. And when you do your one big shop every week, you're going to get more milk than you think you might need, and all those things that your family's going to run out of, a lot of fruit for lunches and everything else. And if you have your grocery list that you've been keeping in your kitchen, and you just add whatever else you need, or if you use the Scramble, I do that for you, then you get everything you need in one big trip, and that is done. And then I'm a little bit compulsive, so my favorite thing is in the course of the week I challenge myself not to go back to the store and to try to eat everything I bought. And so that way I'm saving. And so, we have a huge food waste problem in this country that you probably heard about. Americans throw away anywhere from like 20 to 50% of the food that we buy, which is money going straight into the trash. And so if you plan ahead and you shop once a week and you commit to using up everything that you buy before you buy more, you're going to save yourself so much money. Most of my customers tell me that they save around $50 to $70 a week. And that adds up. That's like a family vacation.
A week.
Yeah, people are spending so much money. And also because, they're probably going out to dinner once or twice less, going to the drive-through, all these things that,
more plans.
It's, it really adds up. And if you calculate all the money that your family spends on food, it can really be a huge chunk out of your family budget, and it's something that we really can reduce.
And what
the other thing I really encourage people to do is plant a few things, especially right now is a perfect time to plant some herbs and some lettuce and some peppers and some things in your garden, and that can help save you money. And it's also great for the kids to see that you're using some stuff that's so easy to grow and you're putting it right into your meals that you're making. The other night was my daughter's 14th birthday, and she requested homemade pesto on spaghetti for her birthday. So I picked a whole bunch of basil, and I threw it in a blender with some pine nuts and some Parmesan cheese and some olive oil, and made this delicious pesto and some garlic, of course. And she loves it. She's been eating. I made a double recipe. She's been taking it for lunch to school every day, too. And then I made a salad, a Greek salad, and I threw in some fresh oregano and some fresh mint from the garden. And so it's just so nice to know that you're, taking some things that you've grown. And it's great. It tastes so fresh that way, too.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're going to be a godsend to so many parents, because this is this is the missing link. Somebody that has got it dialed down for us in a simple fashion to take all those decisions out of our head and to make it simple. Now, of course, we parents on our end, we have to, do our planning, but in exchange, we get so much less stress. We get time with our families at the dinner table to be able to connect, because my boys like to run and go get on their Nintendo DS or get on their, look at Instagram. They're sitting there on their little iPhones. They're so busy in their technological world that that's an excellent time to extract them back out and let's sit down, plan to have our family time so that we don't lose this time with our children, because we only have them for a very short while. So, and
I believe in getting the kids to help a little bit with the setting up and the cleaning up
totally.
and cooking. So that it's not, a lot of times we moms make it like a one-woman job. We think we have to do everything. But really, we're setting ourselves up for exhaustion and failure when we try to do everything ourselves. And when we let our kids help, even if we have to force them at first to help a little bit, it's teaching them really important life skills so that they can go on and feed themselves and their families down the road too, and they know what goes into it.
This conversation is, so every time you say something, I have a little light bulb that goes off, and just a little nugget I'd love to share with everyone that really helped me as a mom is I always would ask my children, and I read some child book somewhere that said, do not ask your children to do something because their first instinct is going to be to say no. Say, Braves, will you help me unload the dishwasher? No, you give them a gentle command such as, Braves, you may unload the dishwasher now, and it's kind of like it empowers them. Oh, I can unload the dishwasher now? It's not, but you don't give them the opportunity to say no. Will you help me set the table? They'll say no. You look at Ava, will you please come? You may go ahead and set the table now. The dishes are over here, and you know where the silverware is. You may go ahead and set the table for us. And it's like, oh, I have permission to do that? So really, it's just a little psychological twist.
I like that.
It has been so powerful in my family, and you'll just go, wow, that worked.
Great.
You'll turn around secretly and smile and go, wow, that really worked, and then you go back and put on your mommy face and go, thank you very much. But it was such a cool trick, and they don't know that I was, able to use that little child psychology on them to get them to, have responsibility. But you are totally right. We are pampering our children extremely to the point where it's detrimental to our children. Way too much.
Absolutely. Ourselves and our children.
Yes. So we encourage, I think we have a collaboration here. We're both encouraging all you moms and dads to get your kids in the kitchen, get them to help you, and everybody sit down together and have that very special family time, because those will be cherished memories that you're going to be able to take with you, and your children will take those cherished memories with you, just like, Aviva, you remember your family time was so special when you grew up.
And actually, a recent poll of kids, even teenagers, shows that they want to eat dinner with their families more often. It's not just that we want to do it. It's the kids want it too.
Fantastic. Oh, my gosh. Well, so I'm on the last page of the slide, and I know that you've given us a lot, and I know I could ask you 1,000 questions, but again, the whole goal of this summit was to give parents a few simple things to do. We don't want them to be overwhelmed. And so Aviva's given you the 3 steps to do if you want to just kind of tackle this on your own, as far as your grocery list, the weekend planning 2 or 3 nights in advance, and keeping your freezer stocked. And then also on this last slide, you can see how to find her and access all of her tools. She's got a free ebook on her website which is www.thescramble.com. Please go over there and give her some love. And I have to tell you, she came on here without asking anything. All of the experts on this panel are coming in to give you their knowledge, their time-tested recipes and thought processes on how to make life easier for us and how to raise healthy children. So please,
actually,
go
it's
over
not true.
and
I am asking
some
something. I'm asking people to please make family dinners a priority,
well,
and you will be amazed at the changes that can happen in your health and your family relationships.
Absolutely, for the greater good. And you can find her on Facebook.com, the 6 o'clock Scramble. So put in the 6 o'clock Scramble. On Twitter, she's @ the Scramble. And there was one other thing.
I wanted to tell people also about the familydinnerchallenge.com. Yes. So that I hope people, all it takes is just signing up to take the pledge to eat dinner with your family at least 3 times a week for 4 weeks by September. We'll all celebrate in September, and I will give you everything you need to make it happen.
And is it the family or just www.familydinnerchallenge.com?
It's just familydinnerchallenge.com.
familydinnerchallenge.com. Okay, so we would love to see everybody go over there, take this opportunity to just, they say Stephen Covey says what? It takes 7 days to make a habit. So Aviva's got you set up here in a month's worth of dinner time with your family, and it's just been such a great pleasure to have you here, Aviva. I hope, and everybody, please let us know your thoughts on what she shared, what successes you've been able to implement. And, again, tonight we have Heather Lounsbury, who's coming in to teach us about herbs, so this will be a good follow-up to what Aviva.
I want to hear that, too.
Yes, the herbs that heal. So just our simple herbs that we can find everywhere and what they specifically do to benefit our bodies. So she's kind of East meets West. She's studied Chinese medicine and will come in and help us understand exactly why we should throw cinnamon in our morning coffee and those sorts of cool things to help with digestive. So, yes. So, please, Aviva, join us tonight if you can. And everybody, we're going to let Aviva get back to her busy day of planning meals for families and making our life easier. And that's just a wrap for today. So thanks for being on.
Thank you so much. And I hope you all are making dinners with me and your families soon. Thank you so much, Carmen.
Yes. All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.